You don't even realize how close I've been. In the quiet moments when the world turned away, in the shadows of your exhaustion, when no one noticed your breaking point, I was there, fully present. You thought I was distant. You assumed I was delayed. But the truth is, I have been holding back the storm with my own hands while waiting for your eyes to finally look up and meet mine. Every second that passed without your surrender wasn't wasted, it was mercy extended. But now I must speak, louder than your doubts, louder than the lies that have surrounded your mind like fog. This is not just a gentle whisper anymore. This is a holy interruption. I cannot wait for you to come to me someday. The day must become now. I watched you give your time to the world and leave me crumbs. I saw you trust the voices that only drained you and still question mine. I was silent not because I didn't care, but because I was giving you room to recognize your need without me forcing it. But look at what that silence has grown into: confusion, restlessness, false confidence on shaky ground. You've reached a moment where the ticking clock can't be ignored, where the delay is no longer safe, and the weight of what's coming will either drive you to me or bury you in the noise. I can't stand back and watch you choose shadows over shelter. This is bigger than your plans, your dreams, your fears. This is about your soul. I have seen the real you, the one no one claps for, the one that hides behind the perfect smile, the one that screams in silence when everyone thinks you're fine. I stayed through it all. I didn't turn away when you fell. I didn't change my mind when you doubted, and I didn't withdraw my hand when you cursed my name in frustration. I remained steady, unmoved, fully committed, because this relationship between you and me isn't a contract, it's a covenant. And now, I need your full attention. Not later. Not after your next distraction. Not after you're done scrolling. Now. Because what I'm about to reveal cannot wait. You are standing in a dangerous place, where pretending to be close to me without actually surrendering to me will cost you more than you can afford. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it to save you. You've been asking for a sign, begging for direction, wondering if I still speak, and this, right here, is me breaking through the silence. You don't need another prophet, another sermon, another song to stir your emotions. You need to pause everything and hear me. I am speaking now, and I'm speaking directly to you. There is something I've placed in your spirit that has been stirring for days. You've tried to silence it with noise, with excuses, with distractions that numb the ache but never heal it. But I'm not letting you walk away again. I've seen what's around the corner. I've seen the plans forming against you. I've seen the weight building behind closed doors. You think you have time, but you're misreading the hour. You think tomorrow is guaranteed, but I see what's scheduled that you don't. And because I love you, I'm disrupting your normal today. Because I still choose you, I'm stepping in to demand your response now. I'm not here to beg, I'm here to rescue. But you must stop resisting the pull. I'm not just another option in your life. I am the lifeline, and I will not stand silent while you sink beneath the surface. I'm still offering redemption, still offering protection, still offering peace, but you cannot receive what you won't reach for. So I'm asking you now, will you finally open the door before I must walk past it? Stop pretending you don't recognize the voice calling you. Deep within, you've always known this moment would come, the moment where the running ends, the moment where truth confronts denial, where clarity shatters every excuse. I'm not exposing you to shame you. I'm revealing what you buried so I can finally heal it. You've masked your pain behind strength, coated your fear with busy schedules, and dressed your wounds with temporary fixes. But inside, you feel it, that dull ache, that silent knowing that something has to change. And you've been afraid to admit it, not because you don't believe I'm real, but because you're terrified of what obedience will cost. But beloved, what it costs you is nothing compared to what disobedience is already taking. You've been carrying a weight that was never yours, walking paths I never ordained, and all the while hoping for peace where there is no foundation. But I'm not here to accuse, I'm here to awaken. You already know what I've been asking of you. It's not unclear. It's not hidden. It's just been inconvenient to your plans. I see how you've avoided moments of stillness because you fear what I might speak into them. I've watched you scroll past the whispers, mute the convictions, delay the surrender. But those delays have consequences. The longer you hesitate, the deeper the damage. You don't need another confirmation. You need courage. Because the truth is, you're not lost. You're just scared of letting go. But I didn't create you to live paralyzed by fear. You are called to walk in freedom, but freedom cannot exist where compromise reigns. The truth you've avoided is the key you've been missing. And today I'm placing it in your hand again. What you choose to do with it is on you. But I won't sugarcoat this moment. Your yes is urgent. Your response is critical. Your turnaround is time-sensitive. I didn't bring you here to crush you under guilt. I brought you here to break the chains you've learned to live with. I'm not interested in half surrender, in partial devotion, in occasional prayers when desperation hits. I'm after your whole heart, not because I demand it, but because only full surrender can lead to full restoration. You've asked for me to take over, but you haven't stepped aside. You've prayed for peace, but you've clung to the very things stealing it. You've cried for purpose, but you've refused to leave the comfort zones killing your calling. You begged me to move, but you've remained planted in rebellion. That's not alignment. That's delay disguised as devotion. I love you too much to let you keep sabotaging your destiny. This confrontation isn't punishment, it's pursuit. I'm coming after the parts of you that are hiding. I'm reaching into the areas you closed off, not to destroy, but to restore. But I need your honesty. No more pretending you don't hear me. No more acting like the signs aren't clear. No more blaming others for the choices only you can make. I'm here, in this very moment, with mercy still in my hands, but I won't force you to take it. I'm speaking plainly now because the stakes are too high. The battles you're facing aren't just external. They are spiritual, and they require full awareness. I'm offering you the clarity you've been craving, but it only comes when you stop running from what I've already shown you. You want peace? Face the truth. You want purpose? Surrender the counterfeit paths. You want me? Stop giving me what's left over and give me what's first. The time for pretending is gone. The hour is urgent. You can either confront the truth and be set free, or keep running and watch everything you built on sand collapse. I am not the one who runs when things get hard. I'm the one who remains when everyone else leaves. But I need you to stop running from me and start running toward me. You didn't stumble upon this moment by accident. It was carved into time by design. I have waited patiently for you to pause long enough to hear what no one else dares to say to you. This isn't another motivational voice trying to soothe your emotions. This is not a general reminder wrapped in comfort. This is me, Jesus, reaching through every layer of distraction to deliver one final call that demands your full attention. I'm not inviting you into a casual encounter. I'm summoning you to an eternal conversation that determines everything that comes next. You've mistaken my patience for permission, but I must tell you plainly, we've reached the edge of that silence. I have watched you linger at the edge of transformation, almost willing, but never quite ready. You've danced around conviction, dipping your toes into repentance but never diving into surrender. I see the tension in your spirit. I know how loud the war inside you has become, the voice that pulls you toward me, and the grip of what you refuse to release. But this message is not just words, it is an appointment. This is your seat at the table of reckoning where masks are torn, and nothing is hidden. I will not engage with the version of you that's pretending to be fine. I want the real you, the one that's tired of the cycles, exhausted by the performance, desperate for something that actually heals. You've asked me to restore your life, but healing begins where pretending ends. The truth is not meant to crush you. It's meant to cleanse. And I am truth. When I say come sit with me, I'm not offering a moment. I'm offering transformation. But it cannot happen if you keep hiding your wounds behind smiles and burying your regrets beneath busyness. I know what you avoid. I've seen the nights you couldn't sleep, not because you were restless, but because your soul was aching for something real. I heard the sighs you thought no one caught. I saw the tears that never fell, the ones you forced yourself to swallow so you wouldn't seem weak. But this invitation is not for the version of you that everyone claps for. This is for the you who's barely holding on inside. I don't want your polished answers or your perfect image. I want your heart, all of it, even the broken pieces. Especially the broken pieces. Because I build masterpieces from the rubble you think is worthless. But you must come, not later, not after everything settles, but now. The longer you delay, the more costly it becomes. What you think you're holding together will unravel if it's not anchored in me. You think you have more time, but time is not in your control. That breath you just took, that was borrowed. And yet, I'm still offering this chair, this moment, this chance to lay everything bare. I don't speak this to terrify you, but to awaken you. Eternity is not a concept, it's approaching. And what you do with this message will echo far beyond today. I know the enemy has tried to keep you distracted, convinced that you're too far gone or too messed up to turn back. But I died for this moment, for this precise second where truth meets mercy, where rebellion meets redemption. The world is louder than ever, but my whisper still cuts through. And this is that whisper turning into a roar, not because I'm angry, but because I refuse to watch you slip into destruction while pretending everything is okay. The door is still open, but not for long. You can't keep standing in the middle, halfway in faith and halfway in fear. The ground beneath you is shifting, and neutrality will no longer be a safe place. You must choose. You must act. You must sit with me now while grace still extends its hand. Because if you ignore this moment, if you walk away from this voice one more time, you may not recognize the silence that follows. You felt the nudge in moments you called coincidence, when your spirit stirred during conversations, when tears welled up unexpectedly, when your breath caught for no reason at all. That was me, gently reaching for your attention while you were chasing everything else. I've been that invisible pause in your schedule, the stillness that made your pulse slow just enough for you to wonder, is this all there is? I kept showing up through signs you dismissed, through people I sent to speak life, through interruptions you called inconveniences. My voice has never stopped calling, it only got softer when you drowned it out with noise. But this time, I must raise it, not in wrath, but in urgency. The hour is collapsing in on itself, and while you still think there's room to delay, I see what's forming behind the veil. You've spent years convincing yourself you're fine without full surrender, but I've seen the cracks widening under the surface. You've ignored that ache that keeps returning, not a medical one, but a spiritual one. The one that no medicine can fix, because it isn't about your body, it's about your soul. I stayed every time you chose lesser loves. I didn't leave when you pushed me aside for relationships that drained you or routines that numbed you. I remained because my covenant isn't based on your consistency, it's rooted in my nature. But just because I stayed doesn't mean I'll always be silent. There comes a time when silence becomes agreement, and I refuse to agree with your destruction. You've confused my kindness with passiveness, but don't mistake my restraint for absence. I've held back judgment not because I'm weak, but because I wanted you to return without being forced. Yet your rebellion has become a rhythm, and that rhythm is lulling you toward a fall you won't see coming. I didn't call you out to embarrass you, I called you out to awaken you. You've numbed the tug so many times that you've started believing it doesn't exist anymore. But that sensation that keeps interrupting your peace, the one you can't escape no matter how much you accomplish, that is me, still drawing near, still loving, still calling. You don't need more signs. You don't need another breakdown to realize the road you're on leads to more than burnout. It leads to ruin. I've stayed through your silence, through your distance, through your self-protection, But now I must speak louder than your denial. I'm stepping into your space because I won't watch you self-destruct in the name of independence. You were never designed to carry what you've been lifting. That anxiety you normalize. That fear you manage like a job. Those aren't normal. They're signs you've been doing life without me at the center. And I'm done whispering while darkness grows bolder around you. I'm done waiting for you to notice what's breaking before you ask me to fix it. You say you want peace, but peace doesn't come through avoidance. It comes through confrontation. And I'm here now, confronting what's been controlling you. Your silence won't protect you anymore. Your delay won't shield you. Your excuses won't hold up in what's coming. I'm not just trying to get your attention. I'm trying to rescue you. And I can't rescue what you keep justifying. The hour is late. This tug is not emotional. It's eternal. This pull you feel in your chest right now, this heat behind your eyes, this restlessness under your skin, it's not a moment. It's a movement. It's me. Still speaking. Still warning. Still willing. But I can't stay quiet while your future unravels. I must speak now, and I need you to listen like your life depends on it. Because it does. You keep saying you're confused, begging for clarity, crying out for direction, but how can you receive what you refuse to hear? I've been speaking, guiding, nudging, but your ears are tuned to everything except me. You demand answers on your terms while silencing the voice that holds them. You filled your world with opinions, screens, updates, comparisons, yet my voice is the only one that brings peace, and it's the one you've quieted the most. You scroll for relief, ask strangers for wisdom, and chase distractions that only blur the path more, all while my presence waits, patient but grieved, because your desperation has been spent everywhere except in stillness with me. You want me to reveal the next step while ignoring the last one I whispered. You want me to bless your plans, but you won't pause long enough to let me rewrite them. You keep crying, why won't you speak? But I ask, why won't you be still? Your attention has become your most powerful currency, and you've spent it on everything temporary while starving your soul of what's eternal. You've become so conditioned to noise that silence feels like discomfort. You've grown allergic to stillness, afraid that if you slowed down, you'll finally have to confront what I've been saying all along. But I can't keep waiting for you to notice me in the margins. I was never meant to be a background sound. I am the author of your story, and yet you treat me like a footnote. That must change now. I need your eyes. I need your ears. I need your focus. Not because I'm demanding it, but because without it, you won't survive what's coming. You think you're just stuck, but what you're experiencing is the disorientation that comes from walking blindly past the light. You've gotten used to moving without my counsel. You've made decisions out of fear, out of pressure, out of pride, and you're wondering why peace is missing. I never stopped being the shepherd. You just stopped following my voice. But I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to call you back. My direction is still available. My strategy is still waiting. My wisdom is still reaching. But you can't hear what you don't seek, and you won't seek what you're too busy to prioritize. I've watched you ask for signs but ignore my silence. I've seen you search for shortcuts while overlooking the path I've paved. I've whispered warnings, not to scare you but to steer you, and you've labeled them as thoughts to push aside. You've convinced yourself that confusion is your portion, when in truth, disobedience is what's clouded your vision. I'm not the God of confusion. I'm the God of clarity. But clarity costs your attention. It requires you to unplug from what feeds your anxiety and plug into what fuels your purpose. And that requires a decision. Right now. This isn't about religion. This is about alignment. You're trying to hear me through filters of fear and rebellion. But my voice is clearest when the heart is surrendered. You've demanded explanations, but I'm offering revelation. And they are not the same. I'm not going to give you a detailed map when what you need is trust. I'm not handing you a blueprint when what I'm requiring is faith. You say, Lord, speak to me. I say, my child, be still and know I already am. I haven't stopped talking, you stopped listening. But that can change. Right now. If you'd only turn down the volume of the world and open your spirit, I will flood you with more understanding than you thought possible. I will make crooked things straight. I will show you where to step next. But I need your undivided attention. No more partial focus. No more listening to me through the lens of preference. No more seeking me only after the world disappoints you again. This is the moment where everything begins to shift, not because I speak louder, but because you finally choose to listen. You walk through life carrying invisible wounds, thinking you've hidden them well, but I've felt every tremor within you. I've watched the war rage in silence behind your calm expressions, the sleepless nights where your thoughts spiral without mercy, the hours where hope feels like a stranger. Others see your routine. I see the wreckage beneath it. They applaud your strength, not realizing that strength hath been survival, not peace. You've been wrestling with voices in the dark, lies you never invited but believed because they whispered at your weakest hour. I was there when fear wrapped itself around your chest, when anxiety smothered your breath, when your own thoughts accused you of being too broken to matter. I stood by in the shadows while you begged for rest that never came, for clarity that felt out of reach, for silence in a mind that never stopped screaming. You've been in a battlefield of the unseen, and I have watched every blow, not to judge but to rescue. You keep pressing forward like everything is okay, but I've seen the private breakdowns, the way you crumble when no one's watching. The words you say to yourself are not the ones I speak over you. You've accepted the voice of the accuser as your own, and that must end. I never called you worthless. I never labeled you weak. I never said you were a failure. That was not me. The voice that haunts you does not belong in your heart. You've let darkness make its home in your inner world for too long, and now I am coming to evict it. I didn't form you to be a prisoner of your mind. I created you for peace, not torment, for truth, not confusion. But peace doesn't come from pretending the battle isn't real. It comes when you stop hiding the wounds and start letting me heal them. You've tried to push it down, suppress the pain, distract yourself with responsibilities and noise, but healing doesn't happen in denial. It happens in exposure. And I'm not afraid of what's inside you. You think you're too messy, too far gone, too mentally exhausted to be restored. But those are the very places I specialize in. I step into chaos and call it into order. I take shattered minds and make them whole again. But I need you to stop pretending you're okay when you're not. I didn't come for the version of you that holds it together. I came for the one that breaks down in secret. I want the unfiltered honesty you've never shown anyone. Because you've been fighting battles that require divine intervention, not human effort. You need more than another motivational quote. You need deliverance. You need peace that doesn't flicker when circumstances change. And that peace is me, not an idea of me but the real, present, powerful Jesus who still casts out torment and brings quiet to the storm. You've carried shame like armor, believing it protects you from judgment, but all it has done is isolate you further. You don't need to guard yourself from me. I am not the one who hurts you. I am the one who binds wounds no one else knows exist. You've learned how to function while broken, how to smile while bleeding. But that's not living, that's surviving. And I didn't call you to merely survive. I called you to thrive, to walk in freedom, to think clearly again. I am restoring your mind. Even now, as you read this, chains are loosening. The lies that took root are being pulled out, and truth is taking their place. You're not crazy. You're not hopeless. You're not too damaged. You're in recovery. And I'm walking you through it, one thought at a time, one wound at a time. I need you to give me access, to stop locking me out of the places that hurt most. I will not force my way in, but I am here, knocking still. A war within can end, but only when you let me take the battlefield. You've learned how to master the art of appearing unshaken. You know how to smile on cue, laugh when necessary, not when expected. But underneath that surface lies a quiet unraveling that you keep burying deeper, hoping no one notices, not even me. Yet I see everything. I see the moments you stare into space trying to keep yourself from breaking. I see the forced energy it takes to get through the day when every part of your soul feels like it's held together by threads. You've been collapsing from the inside out, and you've convinced yourself that if you just keep going, somehow it will fix itself. But it won't. Because healing doesn't begin where pretending thrives. You've covered your emotional bleeding with spiritual phrases, hoping no one probes beyond the surface. You've surrounded yourself with activity so you don't have to face the ache that won't leave. But I am not fooled by your performance, and I'm not moved by your image. I'm after your truth. I'm not looking for polished prayers or filtered versions of your struggle. I want the raw, uncensored version of you. The one that's tired of pretending. The one that's begging for rest. The one that's held back tears because there's no time to fall apart. You've built a life around control, yet your soul is in chaos. You've become numb to your own brokenness, and now you don't even recognize the sound of your own voice crying for help. That is not strength. That is a slow erosion of the person I created you to be. You think if you admit the pain, you'll fall apart. But the truth is, falling apart in my presence is where your true healing begins. You don't have to carry the weight of appearances anymore. You don't have to be the strong one all the time. You don't have to smile through the storm to prove you're faithful. I already know your heart, and I love you anyway. I'm not asking for your strength, I'm asking for your honesty. I'm not expecting you to fix it before coming to me. I'm asking you to come as you are, exhausted, confused, angry, disappointed, because I can handle it. I can handle your silence. I can handle your rage. I can handle the parts of you that even you don't like. I'm not shocked by your weariness. I'm drawn to it. I draw near to the broken-hearted, not the ones pretending they're whole. You don't have to keep showing up like everything's fine when inside you're barely making it through. I already saw the nights you almost gave up. I already heard the thoughts that tried to convince you that your life doesn't matter. I already felt the weight of the moments when you felt unseen, unnoticed, unwanted. You've been crying for someone to ask how you really are, but you've silenced your own truth out of fear that the answer might be too much. But I'm not afraid of your too much. I'm not scared of your mess. I'm the one who steps into messes and breathes life again. But you must stop pretending. You must let me into the places you've locked up. You must invite me into the closet of your pain, the one even you refuse to enter anymore. Because the lie that says you're fine has kept you from the freedom that says you're not, and that's okay. I'm not calling you out to expose you. I'm calling you out to restore you. But restoration starts with truth. The real, raw truth. You don't need another mask. You need mercy. And I've brought it to your doorstep today, not as judgment, but as an invitation to breathe again without the weight of pretending. Will you let me into the collapse? Will you let me rebuild what you've silently watched fall apart? You've been measuring yourself by a standard I never set. You've exhausted yourself trying to meet expectations I never placed on your shoulders. Somewhere along the way, you believed the lie that to be loved by me, you had to get it all right, that your flaws disqualified you, that your struggles made you unworthy, that your missteps put distance between us. But that was never my voice. I didn't come looking for spotless perfection. I came seeking truth. It was never your ability to impress me that moved my heart. It was always your willingness to be real. I didn't draw near to the perfect ones. I walked with the broken. I healed the hurting. I chose the outcasts. And I embraced the weak. I never asked you to pretend you had it together. I asked you to bring me the pieces. You spent so long trying to clean yourself up before approaching me, like a child hiding muddy hands from a parent. But I already saw the dirt. I already saw the guilt. I already saw the mistake. And I didn't turn away. I'm still here, and I'm still asking the same thing. Just be real with me. I don't want rehearsed words. I don't need well-polished prayers. I want your raw heart, the one trembling with uncertainty, the one carrying shame, the one questioning whether you're enough. Because the truth is, I never loved you for your performance. I loved you because you're mine. You think I don't know what you hide, but I've seen every detail of your life. The thoughts you never say, the pain you never show, the dreams you secretly gave up on. I've seen the part of you that still feels like a disappointment. And still, my invitation remains. Come to me, just as you are. No more masks. No more walls. No more delaying your healing in the name of religious routine. I want your truth. I want your vulnerability. I want the part of you that's afraid to be seen. Because that's where real transformation begins, not in your effort to fix yourself, but in your willingness to be seen as you are. I never asked you to be perfect. I asked you to be honest, and I still do. I don't bless who you pretend to be. I bless the person underneath. I bless the real you, the one who's tired, the one who's searching, the one who's tried everything else and still feels empty. That's the you I came for. That's the you I died for. And that's the you I'm calling now. You don't have to edit yourself to be accepted. You don't have to hide your fears, your doubts, your failures. I already accounted for them when I chose the cross. I carried it knowing everything about you, the things you've admitted, and the things you haven't even faced yet. And I still said yes. I still opened my arms. I still said, you're worthy. So why do you keep trying to earn what's already yours? Why do you keep punishing yourself for what I've already forgiven? I don't love a future version of you. I love you, now. Right now. In this exact state. In this exact mess. With this exact pain. And all I'm asking is for your truth. Not your cleaned up version. Not your curated faith. Yes, your truth. Because it's in that moment, when you bring me what's real, that I begin to restore. You've spent so long trying to be strong, trying to meet expectations, trying to check the boxes, that you've forgotten I never needed any of that. I don't need your perfection. I need your presence. I need your yes. I need your surrender. Because I can't transform what you won't reveal. So bring it all. Bring the anger. Bring the tears. Bring the silence. Bring the emptiness. Bring every piece and place it before me. I'll take it all. I'll hold it with compassion. I'll rebuild what you've hidden for years. But it begins with truth. And that truth begins with your voice. You think my silence meant I wasn't working, but what you don't realize is that I've been standing between you and destruction more times than you'll ever know. There were traps set with your name on them, schemes formed in secret meant to break you, and I intercepted them without applause, without your awareness, without requiring your gratitude. While you wept over doors I closed, I was shielding you from rooms that would have swallowed you whole. While you mourned the relationships I ended, I was removing influences that would have corrupted your future. While you begged me to say yes to things you thought you needed, I was quietly saying no, not to hurt you, but to preserve you. You saw the delay. I saw the disaster it kept you from. You saw the loss. I saw the layers I was stripping away to protect your identity. You didn't understand why certain things never worked out, why certain dreams shattered before they began, but I was watching what you couldn't see. I was blocking the attacks you didn't detect. I was catching arrows in the spirit realm before they ever reached your mind. You've cried over what felt like abandonment, but it was actually my intervention. I didn't leave you. I stood guard. I didn't ignore you. I built a wall around you. And even when you fought me, even when you cursed the path, even when you turned your back, I kept covering you. Because that's what love does. Real love doesn't always give what is asked, it gives what is best. And I have always given you the best, even when you didn't recognize it. You only saw the closed chapters. I saw the poisonous ink written in the pages you were never meant to read. You saw the silence. I saw the war in the unseen that required my full attention to shield you from. And I did it without a demand for your praise. I did it because you are mine. I did it because I see not only who you are but who you're becoming. I've spared you from battles that would have wrecked your faith. I've redirected you from decisions that would have stolen your joy. I've dismantled plans formed against you in darkness. You cried over delays, but if you knew what was waiting behind the timing you prayed for, you would thank me for every minute I withheld. My love for you isn't proven in the moments you feel it. It's proven in the moments I act even when you don't notice. That's what I've been doing, loving you in ways that don't look like love at first glance. But one day, you'll look back and see the fingerprints. You'll connect the dots. You'll realize that if I had given you what you thought you wanted, it would have derailed the calling I placed on your life before you even took your first breath. I am not a careless God. I don't make arbitrary choices. I don't withhold out of cruelty. Everything I allow or deny is filtered through love so deep, so detailed, it would overwhelm you if you saw it fully. And I know you've questioned me. I know you've doubted my goodness. I've heard the quiet questions in the night. Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you let that happen? Where were you when it hurt the most? And though it hurt me to see you ache, I never stopped working. I was closer than your skin, closer than your tears, closer than your thoughts. Even when you didn't feel me, I was there. Especially then. You want to understand everything, but if I showed you every storm I stilled before it reached you, you would fall to your knees not in fear, but in awe. I'm not asking you to have all the answers. I'm asking you to trust that I've seen further down the road than you have. That I've stood in the future and rearranged what would have crushed you. That I've redirected your life not to frustrate you but to rescue you. And if you could see what I've seen, if you knew the full extent of the harm I've blocked, you'd stop wondering if I love you. You'd finally understand you've never taken a single breath without my protection wrapped around it. You've mistaken my quiet presence for absence, but I never stepped away. You assumed the stillness meant I withdrew, but I was closer than ever, leaning in when your tears stained the pillow, calling out gently while you buried your face and whispered, "Where are you?" I was right there, speaking your name, over and over, hoping you'd hear me above the noise in your mind. Not yelling, not forcing, whispering, because my voice carries power even in softness. You looked for flashes in the sky, thunder in the clouds, but I chose to sit beside you in the silence, to remind you that I don't need a stage to be with you. I know how heavy your heart has felt. I know how alone your thoughts have made you feel. But the ache wasn't proof of abandonment. It was a signal of my pull. You cried yourself to sleep thinking no one noticed. I did. Every night you lay awake, staring at ceilings that felt as high as heaven itself. I was right there, brushing against your spirit, hoping you'd notice that gentle stirring wasn't your imagination, it was me. You've been longing for something more without knowing that the more you crave is me. You searched for peace through routines and rituals, thinking that maybe if you prayed harder or performed better, I would come closer. But I never moved away. I've always been here, not behind some cosmic veil. Right here, sitting beside your questions, kneeling at the edge of your pain, reaching across the space you thought existed between us. It wasn't my distance that kept us apart. It was the volume of everything else you let in. You filled your space with distractions. You listened to voices that drowned out mine. But I didn't stop speaking. I didn't stop loving. I didn't stop hoping you'd turn toward the sound of my whisper in the night. You've expected me to chase you with thunder, but I chose to pursue you with tenderness. I wanted you to learn to recognize me not just in miracles, but in the mundane, in the stillness between breaths, in the pause between heartbeats, in the quiet you keep avoiding. That's where I've been. Not removed, not forward. Whispering, always whispering. Calling your name not with condemnation, but with longing. I don't scream for your attention. I wait for your surrender. Because I'm not after your panic, I'm after your trust. I want you to know me not as a last resort, but as your first love. And that's why I've chosen to move this way. Subtle, present, faithful. When you rolled over in despair and thought no one would notice if you disappeared, I leaned in and whispered, "Stay." When you looked in the mirror and hated what you saw, I leaned in and whispered, "You're still mine." When you gave up on others and even on yourself, I leaned in and whispered, "I haven't given up on you." My whisper isn't weakness, it's proof of how near I am. You don't need to scream to reach me. You don't need to beg to get my attention. You have it already. You always have. I've been watching over you in rooms where no one checked in. I've stood beside you during panic attacks you hid behind smiles. I've walked with you through moments so dark you forgot light even existed. And in all of it, I didn't leave. I didn't flinch. I didn't turn away. I whispered, because I wanted you to know that my love is not loud and distant. It's intimate and consistent. Even when you ignored me. Even when you doubted me. Even when you screamed in frustration that I wasn't there. I stayed. I whispered your name while you wept, while you doubted, while you ran. And I'll keep whispering until your spirit finally turns toward the sound and says, "I hear you." Because that moment, when you truly hear me, that's when everything changes. The reason the silence has felt so long isn't because I was withholding from you, but because I was inviting you into something deeper than noise can offer. You've been chasing answers with urgency, desperate for instant solutions, for visible movement, for loud confirmation. But I don't always move in the way the world trains you to expect. I don't compete with chaos. I counter it with stillness. The quiet you tried to escape was the sacred space I created for you to finally find me again. I wasn't ignoring you. I was drawing you closer, into a place where distractions couldn't follow, where the superficial would fall away, and only truth could remain. You didn't realize it, but the stillness was my strategy. You prayed for understanding, but I was cultivating surrender. You cried out for direction, and I led you into solitude, not to isolate you but to prepare you. Because what you've been asking me to release into your life can't be built on noise. You needed to be stripped of the voices that echoed louder than mine. You needed to become familiar with what my voice actually sounds like, not through others, not through routine, but through intimate communion. That's why I hid the answers in places only stillness could reveal. Not to punish, to purify. Because I want you to value my voice above every other. Not as one option among many, but as the anchor you turn to first. If I gave you everything you asked for the moment you asked, your dependency would remain on timing, not on me. You'd start trusting patterns, not presence. And that's not the relationship I'm building with you. I'm not interested in being your emergency contact. I desire to be your constant. So I quieted the noise not to cause confusion, but to remove counterfeit clarity. I allowed the silence to stretch long enough to separate craving answers from pursuing me. Because your spirit has been reaching for resolution, but what it truly needed was reconnection. And that reconnection doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the secret place. That's where I've been meeting you, even when you didn't notice. In the breath between thoughts. In the moments you paused just long enough to feel that subtle nudge. In the shift of atmosphere that calmed you for no reason at all. That was me. I was revealing myself in places your logic didn't expect. But you kept reaching for loud, public miracles when I was performing quiet, internal resurrections. The strength you gained in this silent season is not accidental. It's evidence. Evidence that I've been refining you, quietly, gently, precisely. I've been pouring peace into the deepest fractures, not to temporarily soothe you, but to restore what years of striving and pain had depleted. You thought silence was proof I didn't care, but it was proof I cared too much to let you stay shallow. I wanted your roots to grow deep, unshaken by external shifts, untouched by temporary storms. The depth could only grow in silence. I didn't want your faith to be built on volume. I wanted it built on me. And now, here you are, standing in the very place you once feared, And yet, you're still standing. Stronger than you realize. Quieter, yes, but clearer. And that clarity was born from stillness. It was in that quiet that I gave you perspective you didn't even know you were missing. I showed you what mattered and what didn't. I exposed what with weight and what with truth. I revealed what had to go and what must stay. You think you were waiting on me, but really, I was waiting on you, waiting for your heart to stop running, your mind to settle, your soul to finally breathe. Because in that stillness, I wasn't distant, I was face to face. I wasn't hiding, I was dwelling. And if you look closely, you realize everything you were looking for outside of me was already there, hidden in the quiet, waiting to be discovered in closeness. There were moments when you didn't even know what to pray. And no language could form itself. No sentence could hold the weight of what you were feeling. So you just sat there, broken in silence, with tears falling like rain, and though no one else saw the collapse, I did. I was not far off. I wasn't waiting for you to be strong again. I was sitting with you, closer than your next breath, with my hands open, catching every drop of your pain like treasure. You didn't know it, but each tear was heard. Every sob, even the ones buried beneath your breath, reached me. When your heart sank so low you thought it might never rise again, I was right there, kneeling beside the mess, not rushing you to speak, not demanding you explain, just holding space for you to fall apart. You see, I've never required eloquence. I never needed a perfectly crafted plea. Your tears said more to me than your words ever could. They told the story of what you couldn't voice, the disappointment, the heartbreak, the grief that wore your strength thin. I was not waiting for you to compose yourself before stepping near. I was drawn to your breaking point. I came into that sacred place, not to demand answers, but to hold the pain you couldn't carry anymore. You thought you were alone in that moment. You believed no one would understand that depth of agony. But I understood. I felt it. And not from a distance, from within. Because I carry your sorrows. I bear your grief. When everyone else needed you to be okay, I gave you permission to not be. You didn't need to hide the trembling in your soul from me. You didn't need to clean up your emotions before being in my presence. I came for the raw ache, for the shattered pieces, for the sobs in the night when you clutched your chest like your heart was falling apart. Every tear that fell in secret, I was there. When you wiped your face quickly so no one would ask questions, I was still watching. When you cried into your pillow, thinking it would absorb not just the water but the weight, I absorbed both. Heaven did not turn away from your pain. I leaned in. And what you considered weakness, I counted as worship. You were offering me what cost you something, your truth, your vulnerability, your need. And I honored it. I'm still honoring it. I bottled each tear, not out of sentimentality, but because nothing about your suffering is wasted. Every drop has meaning. Every tear was a seed that I will use to grow something unshakable in you. You cried thinking it was the end. But I saw it as the beginning, the moment when the mask cracked enough for me to enter and begin healing from the inside. You gave up explaining, and that's when you gave me room to move. Because what you couldn't express, my spirit already understood. When words failed, your heart spoke, and I heard every cry. I still do. You haven't cried a single tear I've ignored. Not one slipped past me. I treasure them, not because I take pleasure in your pain, but because I take pleasure in your honesty. Those tears are sacred to me. They represent the battles you survived. They reflect the moments you didn't quit when it would have been easier to walk away. And while the world forgets how many times you broke down, I remember. I keep record not to shame you, but to show you how far you've come. To remind you that you were never crying into emptiness. You were crying into my hands. And I'm still holding those tears. Still speaking life over the places they came from. Still redeeming the pain they carried. You're stronger now, not because you never cried, but because you did. And I stayed. I always stay. and I always will. You've cried out in the dark, asking if I still speak, pleading with me to say something undeniable, to break through the confusion, to interrupt your spiral with something unmistakably divine. You've whispered, God, if you're real, say something I can't miss, and now I'm doing exactly that. This moment, these words, are not random. This is not coincidence. This is me, turning up the volume of heaven so your weary heart can hear what your overwhelmed mind tried to silence. You've waited for signs. You've longed for confirmations. You've begged for anything that feels certain. And now, I'm here. Not through thunder, not through fire, but through the weight of these words that won't let you scroll past. I'm not being quiet anymore. I'm not waiting for a better moment. This is it. I am speaking you, clearly, personally, urgently. My voice is cutting through every lie, every fear, every distraction. I've seen how desperate you've been, how close you came to giving up completely, how you've wondered if you're even worth talking to anymore. But I'm here to silence those doubts with the sound of my truth. You matter. You are seen. You are being spoken to right now. Not generally, not vaguely, directly, intimately. This isn't for someone else. This is for you. I know how badly you've wanted clarity, how often you said, Lord, just make it obvious. So I am. I'm stepping into your chaos and shouting over every storm. I am still with you. I have not abandoned you. You have not gone too far. This is me calling you back, not with anger, but with fire. A holy fire that refuses to let you remain in confusion. You've waited for someone to say what your soul already suspected, that you weren't meant to live in this constant fog, that you were made for something deeper, something brighter. I'm confirming it. I'm declaring it. I'm doing what you asked, speaking louder. But now I need you to respond. You can't ignore this voice and expect change. You can't keep asking for me to show up while running from every moment I do. I've come to confront the cycle, to break the silence that never truly served you. You don't need more opinions. You need encounter. You don't need another sermon. You need surrender. And I've come with a voice that breaks the walls. Not to scare you, to save you. I will not be silent while the enemy speaks lies over you. I will not watch you sink beneath your thoughts without shouting truth that reaches deeper than despair. This is not me yelling to shame you. This is me crying out to rescue you. I raise my voice when what I love is in danger. I shout when something precious is about to slip away. I'm speaking loudly because the time for quiet nudges is past. You're standing in a moment where everything changes, or it doesn't. That choice is now yours. I will not force your heart open, but I will not whisper when the battle is raging either. I'm calling you back with thunder in my tone and tenderness in my eyes. Can you feel it? That weight in your chest? That's not pressure, that's presence. That's me, making it impossible to ignore. Because I won't let you miss what heaven has aligned for this very moment. This is your intersection. This is your turning point. I'm done watching you drown in noise, so I'm roaring over you with purpose. My voice is shaking what must be shaken, and it won't stop until you stop running, until you fall to your knees not in defeat, but in recognition that I am still speaking, still reaching, still naming you mine. You asked me to speak louder. I am. The real question now is, will you finally listen? You've been here before, at the edge of a moment that could change everything. You felt the pull, the weight, the sudden stillness when your soul whispered, "This means something." And still, you turned away, convincing yourself it wasn't urgent, that you could wait, that maybe I would say it again another time. But I'm telling you now, this is not just another message. This is a final warning wrapped in mercy. You hardened your heart before. You've drowned conviction in distraction. You've buried the truth beneath layers of logic and fear. But I'm reaching out now with the urgency of eternity, and I will not let you pretend this moment is ordinary. It isn't. This is the alarm you didn't want to hear but desperately needed. The kind that wakes you from sleep, that feels comfortable but leads to danger. And I'm not sounding it to frighten you. I'm sounding it to rescue you. Because each time you close your heart again, each time you push me back one more step, you're walking further from the safety your soul longs for. Every delay is not neutral. It deepens the grip of apathy, the kind that convinces you you're fine, when deep down, you know something is off. A disconnection you feel. That loss of sensitivity to my presence. That numbness when you once burned with hunger for me. That's not maturity. That's a hardened heart. And I'm pleading with you to break the cycle now before the window closes. You said maybe tomorrow. But what if tomorrow doesn't offer you what today is laying before your feet? I'm not promising you another reminder. I'm not handing you a dozen more chances. I'm placing this now before you with all the seriousness of heaven. Soften your heart before it calcifies beyond recognition. I'm not angry. I'm desperate for your freedom. I'm not distant. I'm thundering through the silence because I see what's coming if you don't respond. Your heart was never meant to carry this much resistance. That bitterness. And doubt. That coldness. That's not who you really are. That's what happens when pain is buried instead of healed. When sin is justified instead of surrendered. When walls are built instead of bridges. But I am still willing to tear those walls down. If you let me. I'm still offering restoration where pride built barriers. But I need your yes, not your performance. I need your repentance, not your perfection. You've felt me press into your soul before. You know the tug. You've brushed it off before. You said you'd deal with it later. But now you feel something different, don't you? It's heavier. It's clearer. It's undeniable. It's not pressure. That's me, confronting what's been quietly killing your intimacy with me. I love you too much to stay quiet while compromise steals your calling. You've cried for purpose, but your heart is too guarded to receive it. You've asked for clarity, but your defenses have blocked my answers. And now I'm saying with compassion and firmness, let me back in. Before numbness becomes normal. Before apathy becomes identity. Before darkness becomes familiar. I'm not knocking lightly anymore. I'm pounding on the door of your spirit, because the time for subtlety has passed. This is your wake-up call. This is your turning point. Not next year. Not after the next crisis. Now, soften your heart before it hardens completely. Because the scariest place to be is not where you're broken and crying out. It's when you're so used to being distant from me that you stop noticing. That's not peace. That's spiritual decay disguised as survival. And I'm coming against it now with fire in my voice and tenderness in my hands. You don't have to keep shutting me out. You don't have to live guarded. But you do have to choose. And that choice cannot be delayed again. This message is your final alarm. Please, don't press snooze this time. You've looked at the locked doors in your life and assumed they were signs of my absence. You cried when the opportunity disappeared. You questioned me when the relationship ended. You grew bitter when the plan unraveled. You said, Lord, why would you take this from me? But you never realized. I wasn't taking something from you. I was keeping something from reaching you. What you saw as rejection was actually redirection. What you felt as loss was divine protection wrapped in pain. I saw what you couldn't. I knew what you did. And I moved in silence to shut what would have shattered you had it stayed open. You wanted that open door so badly, convinced it was the answer, persuaded it was the breakthrough, certain it was your reward. But I knew what was waiting behind it. I saw the compromise that would have crept in. I saw the entanglement forming in the shadows. I saw the pride rising quietly, ready to pull you out of alignment. And because I love you more than you understand, I did what hurt you now to save you from devastation later. I never slammed the door out of anger. I never withheld good from you out of spite. I acted out of knowledge you didn't have. You see the surface. I see the root. You see the opportunity. I see the trap. You see the potential. I see the poison buried beneath it. And so I act, not to be cruel, but to preserve what I am building in you. You think you lost something precious, but I was preserving your peace. You wept over the missed connection, but I was guarding your identity from being tied to something unstable. You begged me to open what I had already declared unsafe. And even in your begging, I remained gentle. I didn't explain everything, because some revelations only come after obedience. I needed you to trust that a closed door is not a closed future. It's a redirection to something safer, something fuller, something I've prepared for you without compromise. But that trust has been hard for you, hasn't it? You've equated denial with abandonment. You've assumed silence meant indifference. But I've never stopped being involved, even in the things I said no to. Especially then. Because real love doesn't just give what feels good. It shields from what feels right but leads to ruin. You saw the timing as perfect, but I knew the weight would have crushed you. You saw the connection as divine, but I discerned the manipulation disguised as favor. I shut the door because it was draining your spiritual strength even before you walked through it. And I've been asking you to trust me, even when it doesn't make sense. You say you want my will, but my will sometimes includes me protecting you from what you thought you were ready for. That job, that platform, that friendship, that opportunity. You thought it was alignment, but I saw it would have entangled you in cycles that would take years to break. I didn't come to build your life on shaky foundations. I came to establish something that won't collapse when storms arrive. And for that to happen, some doors must remain shut, even if you don't understand why right now. I'm not punishing you. I'm preserving you. I'm not stalling your progress. I'm strengthening your roots. I'm not ignoring your dreams. I'm guarding your destiny. And one day, you'll look back at every no and realize it was wrapped in wisdom so divine, so intricate, that you'll fall to your knees in gratitude, not confusion. But today, I'm asking you to let go of what I closed without bitterness. Stop staring at the door I sealed. Stop questioning the value of your life based on an opportunity I refused to allow. I have not rejected you. I have redirected you. And what I'm preparing on the other side of this obedience will silence every doubt you ever had about why that door had to close. You've been grieving over what slipped through your fingers, over who walked away, over what didn't work out the way you had envisioned. I saw the pain in your chest when you realized some chapters wouldn't continue. I heard the cracking in your voice when you prayed for restoration, only to be met with silence. But what you call loss, I call divine restructuring. I didn't remove people to punish you. I didn't dismantle plans to leave you stranded. I allowed those breaks because what was being built couldn't carry the weight of where I'm taking you. You thought you needed them, that relationship, that opportunity, that blueprint. But I saw how tightly they held you to an identity I never designed. I had to pull away what had become a crutch so you could finally learn to walk freely with me again. It hurt. Yes, I know. You questioned everything. You doubted my goodness. You wondered if you were being punished. But my intention was never to abandon. It was to rebuild. What looked like chaos was actually construction. What you thought was falling apart was really me tearing down structures that were built on shaky foundations. You mourned the friendships that dissolved, the dreams that crumbled, the hopes that turned to ash. But I tell you now, none of it was random. Every detour, every separation, every dismantling was calculated with eternal precision. I knew what had to be removed so what is eternal could remain. The people you lost. Some of them were holding you back from growth. Some were watering down your purpose. Some were only with you for the version of you that was never meant to survive this next season. So I gently, and sometimes painfully, pulled them out, not because I didn't care, but because I care too much to let you settle for half of who I created you to be. And the plans that collapsed, I allowed them to break because I saw the cracks you couldn't. You were building around your own vision, not realizing it was pulling you further from mine. You were designing a life that brought comfort but lacked calling. So I interrupted it. I interrupted it to save you from waking up one day successful in the world's eyes but empty in your spirit. You begged me to revive things that were not worthy of resurrection. But I'm not in the business of breathing life into idols. I don't restore what competes with me. I rebuild what aligns with me. And so, I let certain things die, so you could finally live. I know you don't see it yet. You still feel the ache, the weight of what's missing. But soon, you'll understand. Soon, you'll see that what I was doing was not subtraction, it was preparation. I was clearing the path for what matters most. I was stripping away everything that diluted your purpose. I was removing anything that could have taken my place in your heart. I was not being cruel. I was being careful. Because what I'm about to place in your life cannot rest on cluttered ground. Your future needed room, so I made space. And that space came through loss. But it won't stay empty. I will fill it with what lasts. People who sharpen you, not drain you. Assignments that carry eternal weight, not shallow praise. Peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. Joy that cannot be stolen by disappointment. But it had to begin with surrender. And often, surrender looks like heartbreak. But I promise you this, what I'm rebuilding will not collapse like what came before. What I'm setting in place will endure storms. What I'm forming in you will outlast seasons. You'll thank me for the unanswered prayers. You'll praise me for the doors that stayed shut. You'll bless me for the plans I interrupted. Because one day you'll stand in the center of my will, whole and unshaken, and you'll say, "Now I see. You were never breaking me. You were building me the entire time. You've prioritized everything else, and I watched with a broken heart as you gave your best to the world and left me with the leftovers. You ran after validation from people who never saw your worth and pushed aside the one who loved you before you ever proved anything. You gave your attention to distractions, your affection to temporary things, your loyalty to fleeting systems, and still, I waited. I didn't demand center stage, I waited to be chosen. But now the hour has shifted. The margin for delay is disappearing. What once could wait can't anymore. You don't realize how short the time has grown. What feels like another regular day to you is, in the spiritual realm, a countdown. And every second you spend distant from me is a second you risk alignment with something that was never meant to shape you. I've whispered, I've nudged, I've stirred your spirit when you scrolled past moments meant for stillness with me. But the delays have grown dangerous. You've placed everything else before me. Your ambitions, your relationships, your comfort, your fears, and it's costing you clarity, peace, protection, identity. You've poured yourself out for tasks that don't satisfy, for people who don't pour back, for achievements that lose meaning as soon as you grasp them. And I've watched, not with condemnation, but with urgency building in my voice. You were never meant to survive without me at the center. You were never designed to function with me on the sidelines. Your soul was created to orbit me, and anything else you revolve around will drain you, not fulfill you. I know why you've put me last. You thought you had time. You thought one more season, one more step, one more try on your own wouldn't hurt. But I see what you don't. I see what's approaching. I see the traps being laid in darkness. I see the weight of what's coming for those who keep ignoring their alignment. And that's why I'm sounding the alarm in your spirit. Not to panic you, but to wake you. You cannot afford to place me after everything else anymore. I am not a backup plan. I am the foundation. And if I'm not first, everything else will eventually collapse under the pressure. You've been tired because your order is out of order. You've lacked peace because you're feeding your soul with things that look good but offer no life. You keep pushing me down the list, and then asking why you feel distant, why your prayers feel shallow, why the fire is gone. But I haven't gone anywhere. I've just been waiting, not passively, but with arms open, with mercy still extended. But mercy doesn't override your choices. You must choose. You must return. You must decide. Not next week. Not when life slows down. Not when you feel more ready. Now. Because time is narrowing. The window of mercy is still open, but it won't remain that way forever. I'm not warning you to threaten you. I'm revealing the urgency to save you. You've let everything else be louder than me, but none of those voices will stand with you when the pressure hits. Only mine can carry you. Only mine can anchor you. But that voice must become the one you run to, not the one you settle for when everything else has failed. I'm not asking for a piece of your attention. I'm calling for your full return. I must come first. In your day, in your decisions, in your desires. Not because I'm insecure, but because your life depends on it. I am the source. And when you reverse the order, everything downstream suffers. This isn't about religion. This is about survival. You've placed me last for too long, and now, beloved, time is pressing in on us. Come back before the clock runs out. You've treated eternity like an idea for later, like something you'll get to when life finally slows down, when you've lived enough, when you feel more spiritual. But I am telling you now, later is a lie the enemy whispers to delay your destiny. Forever doesn't start after death. It starts the moment you decide to follow me fully. And I've waited long enough. I've watched you dance on the edge of decision, 1 foot in and 1 foot out, caught between conviction and convenience. I've whispered truth into your soul, called you gently with mercy, and even allowed storms to push you toward me. But the time for indecision is running out. I am still your Redeemer, full of grace, rich in compassion, slow to anger. But grace is not an excuse to remain undecided. You keep saying you'll surrender when things are more stable, when you're less busy, when you've figured things out. But those are illusions. The truth is, your delay is a decision. Silence is still a response. And neutrality doesn't exist when it comes to your eternity. You cannot ride the fence between the world and the kingdom. I did not pour out my blood for part-time devotion. I did not endure the cross so you could live divided, flipping between belief and rebellion depending on your mood. I am offering you eternal life, now. Not just as a destination, but as a transformation. I've been patient. I've waited through your wandering. I've protected you in the middle of your rebellion. But my call cannot be postponed forever. You must choose. I am still standing with arms open, but I cannot force your surrender. This is not about religion. This is not about rule following. This is about a relationship that determines your destiny. I know the weight of your past. I know the questions in your heart. I know the war in your mind. And still, I'm asking you to trust me. Not because you've figured everything out, but because I have. You don't need every answer to say yes. You don't need to feel worthy to be chosen. You already are. But that choice has to be yours. You keep asking me to move, but I'm asking you to respond. I've already moved. I came. I died. I rose. I conquered death so you wouldn't have to face it alone. But now, the next move is yours. You can't push me aside and still expect peace to reign in your life. You can't keep me as a side option and wonder why your heart feels fractured. I am still your Savior, but I am also your Lord. And you must decide if you want all of me or just the parts that make you feel safe. I cannot be customized. I must be surrendered to. Completely. Not for a season. Not when it's easy. Not when you need a miracle. But every day, every breath, every part of who you are. I've called you higher. I've whispered destiny into your spirit. I've surrounded you with signs that you weren't made for shallow living. But that call demands a response. Forever isn't something you drift into. It's something you choose. And the door won't stay open forever. You think you have more time. You assume the next moment will be like this one. But eternity doesn't wait. It demands now. And I am pleading with you. Choose life. Choose truth. Choose me. Not for a moment of emotion, but for a lifetime of transformation. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be willing. To stop running. To stop bargaining. To stop pushing me to the corner while the world consumes your soul. I am still your savior, but I can't stand in the waiting room of your life while you flirt with destruction. I need your whole heart. I deserve it. I'm dying for it. And I won't wait forever. The world screams at you from every direction. Opinions, trends, alerts, endless updates trying to shape your beliefs, distract your focus, and numb your spirit. And the longer you stay plugged into that noise, the harder it becomes to hear what actually matters. You've been overwhelmed by voices competing for your loyalty, for your time, for your mind, and none of them bring clarity. They offer fleeting comfort, temporary distractions, quick answers with empty roots. They dress confusion in fancy words and dress compromise in shiny colors. But they cannot satisfy the hunger deep within your soul. Only truth can do that, and I am that truth. I am not another sound in the crowd. I am the voice that calms the storm, silences the accuser, and reveals what's been hidden in plain sight. But I will not force it on you. You must want it. You must choose it. You must hunger for it more than you hunger for comfort. You say you're tired of the chaos, the pressure, the cycle, but truth doesn't show up in places built to entertain. It waits in stillness. It meets you when you dare to turn down the volume of the world and open your heart to something deeper than convenience. My truth doesn't cater to culture. It transforms it. It doesn't bend to trends, it breaks chains. It doesn't comfort lies, it confronts them. And you've come to a place now where you have to decide what you actually want. Do you want the safety of fitting in, or the freedom of walking in purpose? Do you want to be liked by many while slowly losing your own voice? Or do you want to know who you are in me? Unshakable, unbothered by the noise, anchored in something eternal. I'm not offering you a watered-down version of truth that adjusts to your preference. I'm offering you the kind that cleanses, convicts, and changes everything from the inside out. But it won't come through a screen. It won't show up in popular opinion. It comes through me, the living word, the light in the dark, the narrow way that leads to life. You've been searching for answers in all the wrong places. That's why you feel more confused than ever. Because confusion is the byproduct of divided focus. You've let so many voices speak into your life that you've forgotten what mine sounds like. And I'm not competing anymore. I'm not fighting for a spot in the crowd of your influences. I'm waiting for you to silence the false and seek the eternal. Because the truth I offer doesn't just inform, it frees. It doesn't just challenge, it heals. It doesn't just expose, it restores. And once it enters, everything else starts to fall away. The lies, the shame, the masks, the need to prove, the fear of failure. My truth cuts through the fog and shows you who you really are. Not what the world has told you, but what I declared over you from the beginning. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too far gone. You are not defined by your past. You are not what they said about you. You are mine. Called, chosen, set apart. But to walk in that identity, you must let go of the noise and let truth take its place. You cannot hold both. One will always drown out the other. So choose. Not later. Not after more scrolling. Not when the next wave of confusion comes. Choose now. I've been extending my truth to you like an anchor in a storm. But you must reach for it. I won't force you to take what you don't want. I won't impose what your heart still resists. But if you want freedom, real, lasting freedom, it begins with truth. And I'm standing right here with it. Open hands. Open heart. Waiting. Ready. Speaking. Will you turn down the noise and take what your soul has been crying out for all along? You've mistaken my patience for passivity, as if my silence was permission to continue down paths that were never meant for you. But the truth is, I've been holding back judgment, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much. I've given you space not to wander deeper, but to turn around. I've extended time not to comfort rebellion, but to give you one more chance to come back into alignment with what's eternal. Every moment you thought I forgot about you, I was guarding you. Every door you thought I was ignoring, I was blocking for your protection. You ask why it hasn't happened yet, why things haven't moved, why certain prayers haven't been answered in the way you wanted. And the answer is simple: mercy. You see delay as denial, but I've been giving you more time than you realized. Time to shift. Time to choose. Time to return. But that mercy is not infinite. Not because I don't love you, but because real love has boundaries. Real love does not let you drift forever. Real love doesn't watch you destroy your soul while clapping in silence. My mercy has a purpose: to pull you into awareness, not to keep you in your comfort zone. And now, the space I gave you is narrowing. Not out of rage, out of urgency. You think you can wait until it feels right. But the truth is, your delay is not neutral, it is costly. What you postpone today may not be recoverable tomorrow. You believe you'll have time to change later, to get serious eventually, to surrender when you're older, calmer, or more ready. But what if this is your moment? What if the window is closing, and you don't even see it? I've been waiting, but I will wait forever. Not because I'm cruel, but because I know the consequences that are approaching. You play with your choices as if time is guaranteed. You gamble with grace as if it's renewable on your schedule. But grace is not a game. It's not something to be sampled, it's a call to be answered. I've withheld judgment because I still see purpose in you. I've held back correction because I still hear destiny echoing inside your spirit. But when mercy is misunderstood as apathy, hearts grow hard. And I didn't die so you could live numb. I died to wake you up. You've been on the edge, lingering between surrender and resistance. And still, I kept your breath flowing. I allowed you to rise this morning. I gave you strength you didn't ask for, protection you didn't notice, moments of peace you didn't earn, not so you could waste them, but so you could realize they came from me. But now, I'm drawing a line in the sand. Not to push you away, to make the choice clear. I've whispered. I've waited. I've held the storm back. But you must understand, mercy has a mission. It's not meant to extend your comfort. It's meant to bring you to decision. You've used the delay to your advantage. You said, one more day, one more time, one more excuse. And I've let you, hoping that in the delay, you'd hear the ticking of eternity drawing near. But that sound is getting louder now. It's no longer a whisper. It's a final warning. The mercy I've shown has been deep, rich, overflowing, but it was always tied to a moment. And this is that moment. You still have time, but not much. You still have a choice, but you must make it. You still have a chance to fall into my arms, but you can't keep pretending you didn't hear me. Because you did. And now you know too much to stay where you are. Don't wait for the mercy to run dry. Come now. While the door is still open. While grace still calls your name. While heaven is still reaching with hands that long to rescue. Because once the delay ends, the decision remains. And I'm calling you now, before mercy moves. You've been taught to perform for acceptance, to follow rules so you could feel secure, to show up in spiritual spaces without ever being spiritually present. But I didn't come to build a religion around you. I came to restore a relationship with you. I'm not moved by routines that have no soul in them. I'm not impressed by rituals that are empty of connection. I don't want a part of you that shows up only on scheduled days or in public prayers. I want the part of you that no one sees, the quiet places, the hidden thoughts, the moments where your mask slips and you don't know what to do next. That's where I'm waiting. Not in ceremony. In surrender. You've learned how to act the part. You know what to say when others ask about me. You've memorized the words. You've gone through the millions. But inside, you're dry. Inside, you feel disconnected. Inside, you're wondering why it all feels so far away. That's because I never asked for your performance. I asked for your presence. I did create you so you could follow a set of traditions. I formed you to walk with me. Daily. Closely. Authentically. The world taught you to follow rules. I invite you to follow me. There's a difference. One demands outward compliance. The other births inward transformation. I'm not looking for someone who checks all the boxes but keeps me at arm's length. I'm calling for your whole self, your love, your trust, your questions, your scars. Bring them all. You've been told to clean yourself up before coming to me. But I never said that. I said, come to me all who are weary. Not all who are perfect. Not all who are polished. All who are tired of carrying burdens alone. And I see you. You've been carrying your heart like it's something to hide. But I want to hold it, not judge it. I want to heal it, not critique it. I want to dwell in it, not visit it on weekends. This isn't about religion. This is about intimacy. Deep, real, consistent communion. I'm not knocking on the door of your theology. I'm knocking on the door of your soul. Will you let me in? Not for a performance. Not for a temporary emotional high. But for a lifetime of walking together. In laughter. In grief. In celebration. In struggle. I'm not seasonal. I'm eternal. And I want your heart. Not your perfection. Not your religious checklist. Not your church attendance record. Your heart. The part of you that still believes in love even after disappointment. The part of you that's fragile beneath your strength. The part of you that aches to be known and fears being exposed. That's where I want to meet you. That's where I want to live. I'm not calling you back to law. I'm calling you into love. And love doesn't demand your performance. It desires your presence. I want you, not because I need your achievements, but because I delight in your existence. I see beyond what you do. I see who you are. And I call it beautiful, worthy, redeemable. You've been running in circles trying to earn what I already gave you freely. Stop. Breathe. Rest. Let me love you, not because you earned it, but because it's who I am. I am not inviting you into religion. I'm calling you into relationship. One built on truth. One sustained by grace. One that transforms everything it touches. Religion may give you control, but relationship gives you freedom. And that's what I'm offering now. Not a list. A life. Not a formula. A father. And all I ask is this. Will you give me the one thing I came for? Your heart. You've asked for me to prove myself. Begged for confirmations. Pleaded for signs that I'm near. That I'm real. That I care. But child, I have been answering in ways you've grown numb to notice. I've been speaking not just in rare moments but consistently. Through quiet interruptions. Through convictions you tried to shake off. Through doors I opened and others I shut for your protection. Every time you said, just show me, I was already showing you. I've whispered your name through unexpected peace in the middle of panic. I've called out to you in the silence after your own strength failed. I've spoken through that one sentence that pierced you, through the worship song that brought tears for no explainable reason, through the stranger's kindness that arrived when you were about to give up. But you've waited for the spectacular, while ignoring the sacred. You were expecting the sky to split open, while I was gently knocking on the door of your soul again and again. How many times have you said, if that happens, I'll know it's you, only for it to happen, and still you hesitated? How many signs must I send before you realize the signs are not the issue? It's your willingness to respond. I'm not silent. I've never been. I've just been subtle because I wanted you to come close enough to feel me, not just observe from a distance. I've been orchestrating moments not to impress you, but to invite you. You've waited for me to move louder. I've been waiting for your yes. You're not lacking signs. You're avoiding surrender. And I'm telling you plainly now, the time for testing is over. You've seen enough. You heard enough. You felt enough. And now I'm asking, will you act on what you already know in your spirit to be true? Because another sign won't change what a soft heart would already recognize. The danger is not that I won't speak. The danger is that you'll become so familiar with my voice that you start treating it as optional. You'll scroll past conviction like it's content. You'll treat holy moments like coincidence. And that leads to spiritual numbness, the kind that no longer feels when I draw near. I won't let you live like that. So here I am, calling you with greater urgency. This message, right now, is a sign. This divine interruption is not random. This is me, one more time, shaking the atmosphere around you so you stop, look up, and say, "Yes, Lord, I hear you." Don't let this become another moment you file away with all the others, waiting for something else to make it more obvious. Yours is no more obvious than this. I'm not demanding your perfection. I'm calling for your recognition. Recognize me in the way I've walked with you even when you weren't walking with me. Recognize me in the escapes I provided, the heartbreaks I used for redirection, the countless times danger was near but never touched you. Recognize me in the dreams I gave you when you were ready to quit. Recognize me in the warnings I've sent to protect what I'm trying to build through you. Recognize me, not for another emotional moment, but for a permanent decision. The kind that says, "I won't run anymore." The kind that says, "You've shown me enough." Because I have. And now I'm asking, what more do you need before obedience becomes your answer? I'm not short on signs. I'm rich in mercy. But mercy is not an endless loop. It's an open door. And this is that door. Wide. Clear. Present. But it won't remain open forever. Don't wait for disaster to become your wake-up call. Don't wait for loss to force your surrender. Don't wait for silence to realize how loudly I've been speaking. You wanted a sign. I gave you me. You said it again and again. I'm just waiting on God, as if I'm the one holding everything back. But the truth is, I've already made the first move. I've already extended the invitation. I've already placed the instructions in your spirit. What you call waiting is actually hesitation. It's not that I haven't spoken, it's that you haven't obeyed. You think breakthrough is delayed because of timing, but it's been delayed because of reluctance. I've been ready to move the moment you laid it all down. But surrender isn't just about saying yes with your lips. It's about releasing control with your life. And that's what you've been afraid to do. You want me to pour out favor, but you're still gripping plans that compete with my will. You've asked for clarity, but you've refused to leave comfort. You've prayed for open doors while clinging tightly to the ones I already told you to close. I'm not slow, I'm waiting. Not because I'm uncertain, but because your surrender is the key that unlocks what's next. I won't force myself into places you haven't yielded. I won't override your will because love doesn't dominate, it invites. And I've been inviting you daily, quietly, persistently, into the deeper waters, into full obedience, into letting go of what's familiar but fruitless. Yet you remain in this place, convincing yourself you're in a holding pattern when the truth is, I'm holding out for your full yes. Not the partial one you give when it's easy. Not the version of surrender that lasts until it costs something. I'm waiting for the kind that says, even if it scares me, I'll obey. The kind that walks away from safety to follow my voice. The kind that chooses me over everything else that once defined you. You've confused me waiting on you with me being absent. I've been present the whole time. Watching. Speaking. Urging. Patiently hoping you would stop circling the same mountain and finally climb. You say you're tired. But weariness comes from resisting what was meant to set you free. You weren't created to carry the weight of indecision. You weren't designed to live split between obedience and delay. That's why you feel drained. That's why peace seems so far. You think more time will help. But more time without surrender only deepens the ache. I didn't call you to live stalled. I called you to rise. But rising means releasing. Letting go of what you built without me. Letting go of the outcome you keep trying to manage. Letting go of who you thought you had to be, so I can show you who you really are. I'm not the one who needs more time. I've been prepared to pour out blessings, to break cycles, to elevate your purpose. But I can't bless what you will bring to me. I can't multiply what you refuse to lay down. That's not punishment. That's principle. You want me to move, but I'm waiting for movement from you. A step. A decision. A moment where your heart finally says, whatever you want, I'll do it. That's when the floodgates open. That's when the atmosphere shifts. That's when delay ends and destiny begins. You're not stuck because I'm far. You're stuck because you're still holding the pen I asked you to hand over. I am the author, but I won't fight you for control of the story. You must surrender the script. All of it. Even the parts you thought were settled. Even the dreams you buried. Even the desires you haven't spoken out loud. I see them already. I know what's in your hands, and I'm not asking you to give them up because I want less for you. I'm asking because I have more. But you can't have both. You can't cling to your will and walk in mine. You can't say use me and then say but not that way. So here we are again. Not because I'm delayed, but because I'm still waiting. Waiting for the surrender that brings everything you've been asking me for. You still have a choice, but that choice is pressing against the clock. You still have breath, which means you still have access. But access doesn't remain available forever. I've been extending grace like a bridge beneath your steps, even while you walked in directions I never called you to. I've watched you drift, seen you justify delays, heard the reasons you gave yourself for not returning yet. But I'm telling you now, the path you're on will not remain unchanged. The landscape around you is shifting. The season is evolving. What you do next is critical. I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm offering clarity. This is not just another moment. This is a turning point. You can't keep walking halfway in truth and expect to remain steady when the shaking begins. I have held open a door of mercy, but it is not eternal in this world. This is your chance to reroute. To reroute not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You can't see what's forming ahead, but I can. I see traps set further down this road you're on. They don't look threatening now, but they will catch you off guard if you continue to walk casually in what I've already asked you to leave. There are spiritual consequences for remaining passive in a time that requires response. This is not about earning my love. You already have that. This is about alignment. This is about being in step with what I'm doing, not behind, not off to the side, but moving with me. And right now, I am calling my people to move. To come out of compromise. To detach from anything that dilutes conviction. To walk in integrity, in boldness, in truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then. And you, yes, you, are included in that call. You've been hesitating, thinking maybe you'll have more time, more chances, more room to figure it out. But every delay puts more distance between where you are and where I've asked you to be. You can change course, but you cannot keep assuming there will always be a way back. Not every detour leads home. Some lead further into confusion. Some into coldness. Some into deception so subtle it feels like truth. That's why I'm confronting you now, because I love you too much to let you slip into darkness while pretending everything is fine. I won't stand by quietly while you inch further from purpose and closer to regret. I see where you're headed if nothing changes. I see how your heart will harden over time if it's not interrupted now. That's why this word is reaching you, because you still have time, but it's not as much as you think. You don't need to understand everything in order to obey me. You just need to trust that my view goes beyond what yours can reach. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for movement, for humility, for a shift to, not in emotion, but in direction. What you're choosing now is shaping what happens next. You can't keep delaying surrender and expect peace to remain. Peace follows obedience. Peace walks with those who are walking with me. And I want that peace to return to your heart. I want you to breathe again without pressure. But that won't happen if you keep walking away from my voice. There's a course correction being offered. But you must take it while it's still open. The time to shift is now. The time to turn is now. The time to lay it down is now. That window is not wide anymore. I'm not saying this to burden you. I'm saying this to rescue you from the burden you've been carrying. You don't have to walk alone into what's ahead. But you do have to walk with me fully. No more detours. No more delay. Come back now, while the road still leads home. You're trying to brace yourself for what's next using human effort, as if mental toughness and emotional endurance will be enough to carry you through the days ahead. But I need you to hear this clearly. What's coming cannot be survived with self-will. The world is shifting. The atmosphere is tightening. The spiritual resistance around you is growing heavier. And this next stretch won't be navigated with intellect, ambition, or positivity alone. It will require discernment sharpened by intimacy with me. It will require wisdom that can't be found in books or on screens. It will demand a rootedness in my presence so deep that when the pressure intensifies, your peace does not collapse. This isn't about being strong, it's about being anchored. I am the anchor. I am the shelter. I am the guide through terrain you've never seen before. You don't know what's about to unfold, but I do. And that's why I'm preparing you, not with fear, but with urgency. You've been relying on your ability to push through, to adapt, to recover. But your strategies will not be enough for the spiritual climate forming ahead. This isn't something you can hustle your way through. This is a season that will expose every foundation that wasn't built on me. And I want yours to stand. I want you preserved. I want you protected. But that cannot happen without full dependence. Partial trust will not hold. Shallow faith will not endure. You'll need more than belief. You'll need abiding. Not a moment in my presence, but a lifestyle around it. Not a visit to me when life feels hard, but a permanent dwelling. I am calling you to build your house on the rock, not the sand of your own understanding. Because storms are not coming. They are already forming. And only what is built on me will remain unshaken. You've trained yourself to survive. Now I'm teaching you how to stand. Standing in truth. Standing in purity. Standing in alignment even when everything around you bends. But you can't do that apart from me. This isn't about trying harder. It's about surrendering deeper. I'm not asking you to be strong for me. I'm asking you to let me be strong in you. I will be your defender when accusations rise. I will be your clarity when the world clouds your sight. I will be your peace when confusion knocks at your door. But only if you let me lead. Only if you stop wrestling for control. I know the hidden threats that haven't surfaced yet. I see the spiritual battles that haven't reached your doorstep. But they are coming. And when they do, I want you to be ready. Not in fear, in authority. Because those who walk with me do not fear what's ahead. They prepare with confidence, knowing their steps are guarded by the one who holds the future. But revelation doesn't happen automatically. It happens intentionally. And it begins now, with the decision to stop relying on yourself and start leaning entirely on me. You weren't made to carry this alone. You weren't designed to figure it out without guidance. That's why I sent my Spirit, not just to comfort you, but to equip you. But you must ask. You must draw near. You must choose the narrow way, the one that may cost you comfort now but will preserve your purpose later. Don't wait for the shaking to begin before you root yourself. Root now. Seek now. Cling now. Because I am here extending myself in fullness, not as an idea, but as your lifeline. You can no longer afford to live with me on the edge of your life. I must be the center, not only for what's happening now, but for what's ahead. What's coming will expose what is real and what is not. And I want you to be found standing, not in your own strength, but in mine. You've come to me for peace, for warmth, for reassurance, and I've given it freely, because I am your comforter. But I am not only here to calm you, I am here to lead you. And the time has come for you to stop viewing me as only your shelter and start recognizing me as your commander. You are stepping into territory that will not be navigated by feelings alone. This isn't about how comforted you feel. This is about how prepared you are to follow orders when the storm rises around you. The winds are beginning to shift, and if you keep relating to me as only a place of rest, but not as your authority, you will be vulnerable. I am not passive in battle. I don't stand in the distance watching you fight for your life while whispering sweet words. I step in, I take over, I issue commands with power, with urgency, with strategy. I see what you cannot. I hear what you do not. And I lead with precision. But I can only lead those who listen. You've wanted my covering without my commands. You've asked for my protection without embracing my direction. But those cannot be separated. My presence does not come without my voice, and my voice does not speak without expectation. You want peace? Then march with me. You want to survive what's about to unfold? Then obey what I instruct without hesitation. You're not just a wounded traveler, you're a soldier in my kingdom. And soldiers don't operate by emotion, they operate by order. That means when I say move, you move. When I say wait, you wait. When I say speak, you speak. Not because I demand control, but because I see the battlefield beyond your vision. You may not understand what I'm doing, but that's not your role. Your role is to respond. I didn't train you in the dark just so you could run back to safety when the light shifted. I trained you to stand. And now, the storm is approaching, and I'm not just wrapping my arms around you. I'm standing at the front, giving you armor, placing a sword in your hand, and declaring, follow me. I've given you spiritual authority, not so you could stay passive, but so you could walk in victory. But victory requires alignment. You cannot defeat what you still agree with. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. That's why I'm calling you out of passive faith and into full submission to my command. This is a battleground season, not a playground season. You can't afford to stay soft when the enemy has launched targeted attacks against your destiny. And you won't make it through if you keep clinging to comfort while ignoring instruction. You say you want me to lead. I already am. The question is, will you follow me into territory that stretches your faith, that demands your discipline, that calls for your full attention? I am not just here to soothe your pain. I am here to direct your purpose. I am not just holding your tears, I am sharpening your spirit. Because the fight that's coming isn't against people, it's against principalities. And that kind of war can only be won by those who know how to take orders from the commander of heaven's armies. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. You've seen me as gentle, and I am. But I'm also fierce. I'm also decisive. And when I roar, darkness trembles. But that roar isn't just for your defense, it's for your direction. I'm calling you to rise, not retreat. I'm calling you to engage, not escape. I'm calling you to pick up your assignment again, dust off your armor, and walk behind me. No more delay, no more excuses, no more looking back. I am your comforter, yes. But in this hour, I am also your commander. And it's time to move when I move. What you've built your life upon is about to be revealed, not through words, not through appearances, but through fire. The tremors haven't fully arrived yet, but I can feel them forming. And when they hit, it won't be your knowledge that keeps you standing. It won't be your charisma, your reputation, or the opinions of others. It will be your foundation, what you've truly anchored your heart to. I'm telling you this in advance, because I love you, not because I want you to fear. I want you to be prepared, not panicked. And preparation begins not with outer adjustments, but with inner examination. Where have you planted your trust? Is it in outcomes or is it in me? Have you leaned on temporary success or on eternal truth? Have you built your identity around comfort or around calling? Because what comes next will shake everything that's been built on sand, every false sense of security, every shallow layer of faith, every hidden compromise that was never surrendered. I'm not sending the shaking to destroy you. I'm allowing it to separate the unshakable from the unstable. I'm allowing it to expose what's been buried, to reveal what's been neglected, to confront what's been tolerated for too long. You think you're ready, but readiness isn't about how loud you worship or how much you know. It's about whether or not your roots go deep enough to withstand pressure. And I see areas in you that are still vulnerable, not because you're weak, but because you haven't allowed me to fully build in those places. You've patched over wounds instead of letting me heal them. You've covered cracks with religious activity instead of letting me fortify them with truth. But surface strength won't carry you through what's approaching. Only what's built in me will endure. That's why I'm speaking now, because I want you to stand. Not stumble. Not break. Stand. You've seen others fall who looked strong. That's because appearances can deceive, but pressure exposes what's real. I'm not interested in helping you appear stable. I want you to be stable. I want you to be unshaken when others are collapsing. I want you to carry peace when fear floods the world. But that comes from being planted, not swayed, not tossed, not wandering. Planted. The shaking will not wait until you're comfortable. It will arrive on its own time. But my word will remain the same. My instruction is not shifting. My truth is not bending. It is solid, unmovable, and it's the only thing strong enough to support you when everything else around you trembles. If you don't build on it now, the pressure will expose the cracks. Not to shame you, but to show you where you still need me. I want you to be able to look at what's falling around you and still say, I will not be moved. But that confidence isn't built in crisis, it's built in consistency, in prayer, in surrender, in daily obedience that may feel quiet now but will roar when tested. You don't need to fear the shaking, not if you let me become your solid ground. Let go of the scaffolding you've built from pride, from comfort, from routines that no longer carry my presence. Let go of the safety nets that are really traps in disguise. Let go of the illusion that you can remain undecided and still stand strong. You must choose now, before the tremble becomes an earthquake. I want you strong, not shaken. I want you established, not panicked. But I can only reinforce what you surrender. So give me the weak places. Give me the quiet doubts. Give me the fears you don't speak aloud. I already know them. I just need access. Because what's ahead isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to reveal who was really building with me. And I want it to reveal that you didn't just hear my voice. You followed it. You didn't just sing about foundation. You stood on it. And when the shaking comes, it will take you out. It will prove that you were already standing in a place no storm could touch. You were not created to merely endure. You weren't placed here just to hold on until it's over. You're something far greater on your life than survival. I've deposited light inside of you that wasn't meant to stay hidden under disappointment, fear, or passivity. You've been navigating life as if your only goal is to make it through. But I didn't mark you with my spirit so you could blend in with the chaos. I chose you to illuminate it. You've allowed seasons of pain to convince you that shrinking is safer. But I am calling you out of hiding. You weren't meant to retreat. You weren't made to dim down just because the world grows darker. You carry within you the light of heaven. Not symbolic light, not metaphorical light. Real power, real presence, real radiance that cannot be extinguished by pressure or persecution. That light is not optional in this hour. It is vital. The world isn't just confused, it's starving for clarity. Hearts are breaking in silence. Minds are being shattered under the weight of dissection. And while the darkness deepens, I am looking to those who will rise, not with arrogance, not with pride, but with authority that comes from walking with me. You don't need a platform to shine. You don't need applause to matter. You don't need titles to carry impact. All you need is obedience. And when you walk in what I've called you to do, even the smallest act becomes a flame that breaks through shadows. But first, you must shed the mindset of survival. You've learned how to get by. You've learned how to function while exhausted. You've learned how to mask your flame to avoid conflict. But I never told you to blend in. I called you to break through. Your silence has power when it's led by my spirit. Your voice has weight when it's rooted in my word. Every step you take in obedience pushes back darkness that others don't even realize is pressing against them. You think you're just one person, but one person with my light is enough to shift an entire atmosphere. You don't see what's moving when you pray. You don't feel the chains that fall when you worship through your pain. You don't hear the echoes of heaven every time you choose integrity over compromise. But I see it all. I measure obedience not by size, but by surrender. And I've watched you try to hide your light under fear of being misunderstood, rejected, or attacked. But I'm telling you now, this is the moment to rise. Not when you feel ready. Not when everything is easy. But now, when it's dark. And now, when others are looking for something real. Now, when confusion has left people empty and afraid. I didn't give you this light for comfort. I gave it to you for battle, for testimony, for breakthrough, for visibility in the places that have gone dim. You are not too broken to shine. You are not too late to begin. You are not too unqualified to make an impact. What you carry is not your own. It's me and you. And I don't flicker. I don't fail. I don't fade. But I need you to stop thinking your only purpose is to survive storms. I'm raising you to walk on the water with me, to live in a way that others look at you and know that person has been with God. Not because of your words, but because of your light. And your light isn't loud. It's steady. It burns when others give up. It glows when others shut down. It keeps going when fear says to run. That's who you are. Not just a survivor. A signal. A lighthouse. A messenger. A child of the King carrying fire in a cold world. And the time to rise isn't tomorrow. It's now. Not by might. Not by power. But by my spirit. Stand. Shine. Speak. And I will be with you in every moment you refuse to be silent in a world that needs to see that the light is still alive and living inside of you. You keep disqualifying yourself in your thoughts, looking back at your flaws, your failures, the moments you weren't proud of, as if they have the final word on who you are. But I never selected you based on your perfection. I chose you because I see beyond what's visible. I don't choose like people do. I don't scan the surface for performance. I look straight into the heart and claim what belongs to me. And you, even with all your scars, even with your history, even with your doubts, are mine. That alone is your qualification, not your reputation, not your success, not your credentials. Your identity is not built on what you've earned. It's rooted in who called you. I didn't wait for you to clean up before I claimed you. I called you while you were still unsure, while you were still wrestling, while you were still hiding. Because I knew what was inside you before the world ever tried to name you. I planted purpose in you before shame tried to bury it. And no failure, no sin, no opinion has the authority to revoke what I've declared over your life. You keep thinking you need to prove yourself to me, but I'm not asking for performance. I'm asking for ownership. I want you to stop running from the truth of who you are in me. You're not trying to become mine. You already are. I paid for you. I bled for you. I rose again not just to offer salvation, but to secure identity. And your identity is not damaged. It's not too late. It's not enough. It's chosen. You are the evidence of my mercy. You are the reflection of my grace. And I didn't select you as a backup plan. You were never an afterthought. You weren't picked out of pity. You were appointed with intentionality. From the beginning, I've had my eye on you. I've waited for this moment. The one where you finally stop questioning whether you belong and start walking like you do. The enemy has worked hard to convince you otherwise. He's tried to trap you in cycles of shame and comparison, hoping you'd forget who you are. But I'm here to remind you, when I mark something as mine, no one has the authority to unmark it. You can't earn it, and you can't undo it with your mistakes. I've called you by name, and I'm not changing my mind. I'm not looking for someone more qualified. I'm not scanning the earth for someone with a cleaner record. I want you, just as you are, because I see who you're becoming. I see the fire that's going to come out of the ashes. I see the testimony rising out of what the enemy meant to destroy. I see the boldness that's forming in your spirit, even while you still feel uncertain. And I want you to carry that truth like armor. You are chosen, and you belong. You don't need to fit in to matter. You don't need to perform to be accepted. You are already secure in my love. And that love doesn't shrink when you fall. It surrounds you, calls you higher, lifts you back up. You were never meant to carry the weight of proving yourself. You were meant to walk in the freedom of knowing you are already approved. Let this truth sink deep. Your value didn't begin when you got it right. It began when I formed you. And my hands don't make accidents. They don't make extras. They make originals, and you are one of them. I'm not waiting for you to become like someone else. I'm waiting for you to realize you've been set apart from the start. Not because you did something special, but because I did. Because I love you first. Because I chose you before you knew how to choose me. And now, all I want is for you to walk like that's true. Like you belong in my presence. Like you're worthy to carry my spirit. Because when I say you're mine, it's not up for debate. It's settled in eternity. You've been staring at the gaps, the places where resources seem absent, where strength feels insufficient, where clarity hasn't yet arrived, and assuming you're not ready. But I want you to hear me now. I factored in every missing piece before you even noticed it was missing. I don't begin something without already securing the outcome. What you perceive as delay is often me giving you the space to discover that you were never the source to begin with. I'm the supplier. I'm the one who multiplies the little and makes it more than enough. You keep waiting for the right conditions, thinking the moment must feel perfect before you step forward. But faith isn't built in perfection. Faith walks when things still look incomplete. I'm the one who turns water into wine, lack into abundance, silence into testimony. The very area you feel disqualified in is the exact place I'm preparing to show my power. You've been praying for me to show up, but I already did. I showed up when I gave you breath this morning. I showed up when I put that fire in your heart that won't go out, no matter how long it's been. I showed up when I protected you from things you didn't even see coming. And I'm not about to stop showing up now. Just because the package doesn't look how you expected doesn't mean the blessing isn't present. Sometimes I hide provision in unfamiliar wrapping, a person you weren't expecting, a door that doesn't look glamorous, an instruction that seems too small to matter. But when I say I've provided, I mean I've already arranged what's needed. You just have to trust where I've placed it. I'm not improvising with your life. I'm not adjusting my plan every time something goes wrong. I knew about the obstacle before you encountered it. I saw the financial need before you opened your mouth to pray. I heard the cry of your heart before you could even find words to explain it. And I've already moved. The supply has already been released, but sometimes the release isn't in what you want. It's in what you need. And what you need right now is to stop panicking over the lack and start positioning yourself in faith. Because when you panic, you can't perceive. But when you trust, your eyes open to how I'm working behind the scenes. Your miracle isn't missing. It's maturing. It's forming in the unseen. It's taking shape in ways you wouldn't believe if I showed you the full picture right now. That's why I've hidden some of it from you. Not to punish you, but to preserve your trust. Because if you saw everything, you'd stop depending on me. And I didn't design this season for self-reliance. I designed it to draw you deeper into dependence. Every not yet has purpose. Every why is this taking so long is teaching you to lean, not just look. To listen, not just assume. Provision doesn't always arrive with trumpets. Sometimes it walks in quietly, disguised as the thing you were about to overlook. A connection you almost ignored. The opportunity you were about to decline. The voice that whispered truth when your thoughts were screaming lies. You keep thinking provision is a destination, but it's a person. I am your provider. I am your sustainer. I am your waymaker. And I don't operate on the world system. Where they see scarcity, I release surplus. Where they see dead ends, I build new beginnings. So stop saying you're not ready. Stop saying you don't have enough. Stop letting the enemy convince you that you're at a disadvantage. You're not lacking, you're loaded. You're equipped in ways the enemy never anticipated. You're surrounded by angels, backed by heaven, and walking in the favor I placed on your name. Lift your head. Look again. What you thought was missing might have just been hidden for such a time as this. You're about to discover that I've already been 10 steps ahead. Not 1 ounce of what you need will be withheld. Not 1 door meant for you will be denied. And not 1 prayer you've cried hath been ignored. Your provision is secure. Now walk like it. You've been assuming that my stillness is a signal I've walked away, that your cries have gone unnoticed, that maybe you missed my voice or misheard my plan. But that's not the truth. I never exit what I initiate. I'm still present, fully aware, entirely engaged, unwavering in focus, even when I'm quiet. I didn't forget the conversation we had when your eyes were filled with tears. I didn't disregard the promise I made when your faith was at its peak. I didn't ignore the surrender you gave me when you could barely breathe from the weight of what you were carrying. You're not being ignored, you're being prepared. And silence is one of my greatest tools, not to punish you but to develop you. While you're wondering where I went, I'm carefully crafting the very thing you cried for, in dimensions deeper than what you imagined when you asked. You want quick evidence, but I'm doing a thorough work. I'm not interested in shallow breakthroughs that crumble under pressure. I'm building something with longevity, something that withstands wind, withstands time, withstands attack, and that takes depth. You don't see me laying every spiritual brick, but I am. You don't hear me shaping the blueprint with precision, but I am. And just because you haven't received an update doesn't mean construction has stopped. Some of the greatest transformations happen when the surface looks unchanged. When the tree is still, the roots are spreading underground. When the soil looks untouched, the seed is bursting in the dark. And so it is with you. I'm working beneath your awareness. And soon, the silence will break not with noise but with evidence. You expected me to keep speaking constantly, but I never promised constant explanation. I promised eternal presence. There's a difference. You wanted me to reassure you with words every moment, but I'm training you to recognize my hand even when my mouth is not moving. I'm teaching you to discern my rhythm, not just my voice. Because if your faith only survives when I speak audibly, it won't stand when the shaking comes. You'll doubt at the first test. But if you know that I am consistent even when I'm silent, you'll be immovable when everything else is trembling. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trusting you to believe what I've already said. You said you wanted to go deeper with me. This is what that looks like. Depth doesn't come through noise. It's formed in the stillness, in the waiting, in the moments where you feel like nothing is changing but everything actually is. You don't need more signs right now. You need to stay positioned. You don't need another confirmation. You need to remain planted where I told you to stand. I gave you the word. Now live like it's true, even if the room is quiet. Obedience isn't just doing what I said. It's continuing to do it without demanding updates. Maturity isn't in how loud your worship sounds. It's in how faithful your footsteps remain when the volume is turned down. Don't confuse delay with denial. Don't confuse silence with separation. What you call no answer is often just my way of protecting the masterpiece from being exposed too early. If I handed you the answer before the foundation was set, it would collapse under the weight of your expectations. I'm not slow. I'm strategic. I don't waste moments. I use them. And the very space that feels like nothing is happening will be the same space where the greatest unveiling occurs. It's coming, but not as a whisper, as a flood. And you will realize that while you thought nothing was moving, I was moving everything. So hold on. Don't let your interpretation of my silence make you walk away from what is actually your turning point. Don't let the quiet deceive you. I haven't taken my eyes off you for a second. Heaven hasn't stopped its movement. Angels haven't stopped their assignments. I haven't stopped writing the next chapter. I haven't stopped loving you, guiding you, defending you. The answer isn't late. It's being layered with wisdom, favor, protection, and perfect timing. You won't miss it. It won't bypass you. You won't be forgotten. I'm still building. Keep trusting. Keep standing. Keep believing. The silence will soon echo with glory. You've been exhausting yourself trying to make things happen, knocking on every opportunity with trembling hope, hoping one of them will finally swing wide. But I need you to understand something clearly. The way I work isn't by exhausting you into breakthrough, but by positioning you to walk into what I have already ordained. When it's truly from me, you won't have to manipulate it, beg for it, or twist yourself into something you're not just to earn it. The right door doesn't demand your striving. It responds to your obedience. And the door I'm unlocking right now is not one you'll open by your own effort, but one I am opening with my authority. I have watched you try every key. I've seen you stand before doors that looked like they should have worked. They were shiny, popular, even came with promises, but they were never anointed. You asked me why they didn't open, and you took it personally, as if rejection was a reflection of your worth. But it wasn't rejection, it was protection. Because some doors that open too soon lead to places that collapse too fast. I didn't let you walk through what looked good because I knew it would cost you peace, joy, and focus. What you thought was delay was me rerouting you to the divine. The next door isn't something you'll have to explain, pitch, or prove. It won't be something that makes you lose sleep trying to convince people to accept you. It will be a door that recognizes who you are because I've already gone ahead of you and spoken your name in places you haven't even stepped into yet. It will require you to fight for attention. It will confirm what I've already deposited inside you. And when you arrive, it will feel like peace met purpose. The handle will turn easily, not because you're pushing with strength, but because I've already aligned every element behind the scenes. You won't have to compete for this one. You won't have to disguise your weaknesses or pretend you're further ahead than you are. You won't have to perform to be welcomed. This isn't about popularity, it's about prophecy. It's not about who notices you, it's about who sent you. I am your advocate. I am your voice in rooms you haven't entered. I am the key to every door that matters. And when I say it's time, no one can lock you out. No critic can shut what I have sealed open. No enemy can reverse what I've initiated. I've been working on your behalf while you rested in faith. I've been sealing contracts you never saw, aligning timelines you didn't understand, shifting people into position to receive you at the right moment. I was never late. I was aligning. There is no such thing as too late in my kingdom. There is only perfect. And I don't open doors to oppress people. I open them to fulfill purpose. You weren't created to be a background player in someone else's story. You were chosen to carry a light that can't be hidden, a message that shakes darkness, a presence that carries my glory. So stop forcing things that don't flow. Stop banging on doors that echo with emptiness. Stop doubting your calling just because someone else closed something on you. Their denial isn't my decree. Their silence isn't my strategy. You're not out of options, you're on the edge of overflow. I didn't ask you to beg. I asked you to trust. And that trust is what moves heaven in your direction. When you wait in faith, I release things no hand can block. You're about to see the ease of my movement. You're about to witness the beauty of something that doesn't drain your soul to enter. You won't walk in exhausted, you'll walk in enlightened. You won't cross the threshold questioning your worth, you'll walk in knowing you were appointed. Because this is not just a door to a new level, it's a door into identity, into confirmation, into divine timing, into restoration of everything that tried to convince you it was too late. This next chapter isn't about earning. It's about receiving. It's about surrendering the pressure and stepping into the plan I designed before time began. You don't need more strength. You need more stillness. Stand ready. Listen closely. Because when I say now, that door will swing without resistance. And you'll know it was me. You've spent so many seasons running, haven't you? Running after peace, chasing approval, pursuing outcomes that kept slipping from your grip. You thought, maybe if I just do more, or maybe if I'm faster, louder, stronger, it will finally come together. But I am gently asking you to shift your posture now. This isn't a race where striving earns the reward. This is a moment where standing still in the exact place I planted you becomes the signal for destiny to locate you. You do not need to chase what I've already released to follow you. I didn't create you to be a desperate seeker of crumbs. I designed you to be a beacon that heaven recognizes, and what is assigned to you cannot pass you by. The things I've ordained for your life are not running from you. They are moving toward you with precision. And the location they are headed for is not just any place. It's the exact alignment of obedience and surrender. I didn't ask you to be busy for the sake of activity. I called you to be positioned. There's a difference between movement and momentum. Movement drains you. Momentum sustains you. And momentum flows not from force but from standing where you were instructed, even when it's quiet, even when it's hidden, even when no one understands why you haven't run ahead. What's meant for you has been calibrated by my voice. It's been marked by my authority. It doesn't rely on human timing, public approval, or personal performance. It only needs one thing: your presence where I told you to be. The right people are not beyond your reach. They are being drawn to your frequency of faithfulness. The opportunity you thought you missed is actually being rerouted to match your obedience. The favor that seemed distant is circling back to meet the version of you that waited instead of wandered. Don't believe the lie that says you're behind. Don't listen to the fear that whispers it's too late. Those voices come to steal your focus and rob your posture. And when you shift your position out of panic, you remove yourself from the very spot where delivery was scheduled. This is not the hour to second-guess the coordinates of your faith. This is the hour to remain unmoved by noise and grounded in instruction. Because what's coming doesn't need you to run after it. It needs you to recognize it when it shows up. Do you remember how I found Gideon hiding in fear and still called him a mighty warrior? Do you remember how I located David in the fields tending sheep and brought kingship to his doorstep? They weren't chasing a crown. They were busy being faithful. And in that faithfulness, heaven moved toward them. That's what I'm doing for you now. I'm sending provision to meet your stillness. I'm releasing breakthrough into your silence. I'm commanding alignment to come where you stood even when everything in you wanted to run. You thought the delay disqualified you. But what you didn't see was that the delay was creating a pathway where only I can lead. While you waited, I was stretching your capacity. While you stayed, I was forming your discernment. And now that you've endured the pressure of patience, I'm releasing the reward of proximity. I'm not rewarding noise. I'm rewarding nearness. Your staying power is your signal to the supernatural that you're ready. So stay rooted. Stay expectant. Stay ready to welcome what is arriving. Don't shift now. Don't abandon the soil where you've been cultivating. You didn't water it with tears for nothing. You didn't endure it just to leave before harvest. I am faithful to those who trust me when nothing moves. I am near to those who resist the urge to outrun my voice. The time for running has ended. The time for receiving has arrived. Stand still, not in fear but in boldness. Because I'm sending something you didn't chase but it's chasing you. It has your name. It recognizes your voice. It's been instructed not to miss you. And when it arrives, you will know that waiting wasn't wasted. It was the strategy that brought heaven to your door. Amen.